Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are doing our second Zoom discussion panel. And today we have Emma and Tiffany again. And newly joining us is Diana. And we're going to speak about how to find resilience during times of fear, anxiety, and panic, as many of the situations that are occurring now can provoke. So that was the subject suggested by Emma, who is a professional in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. That's right, Emma, yes? And yeah, I'll just pass it over to her and she can give a little bit of explanation of what we're going to be talking about and guide us into our discussion. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Jamie. Yeah, so with everything that's been going on, there's been a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of panic arising all around the world. And I thought this was a really important topic to discuss. And perhaps we can, throughout this talk, we can talk a little bit about how perhaps we manage fear, anxiety or panic, or if we've noticed those emotions arising, those sensations. And I wanted to share a little bit about what I share with my students and how important is the story that we're telling ourselves and the perspective that we're focused on in terms of what's going on and how that influences our emotional state. So not only is this something that I've been teaching for a long time, I also feel that I can talk about this because 8 years ago I was experiencing weekly panic attacks, and that was something that was not fun. And I learned a lot from that experience. And also I was able to, thanks to really observing how my thoughts were contributing to how I was feeling, I was able to start rewriting the story. And NLP, and also alongside other things as well, like acupuncture and watching what I was eating as well, and caffeine intake, that all helped in terms of anxiety. One thing I wanted to mention first, first I will go into a little bit about the mind-body wheel, if that's all right with everyone. Just because I feel it's something's really important. This is something that I put together and I use with my students, and I find that it's a really simple, effective way to understand how everything's connected, like how we feel and what we're thinking about. So I'm not sure if it's back to front. Basically, everything is connected in terms of whether we're when we're in an event and we're experiencing everything through our senses, and we're seeing things, we're hearing things, we're feeling things, that information goes into the mind, and then it's filtered according to our belief system. It's filtered according to our beliefs, our values, any past experiences, memories, and all of that. And then we come up with this conscious meaning that we're attaching to situations, this story. So whatever story we're attaching to different experiences that we're in can have a knock-on effect on how we feel. So with everything that's going on in the world, it can be really to notice, okay, what am I telling myself about this? Like, what story, what perspective am I focused on? Am I focused on, I can't get out of the house, I can't do this, I can't do that, we're all doomed, blah, blah, blah. If we're focused on that, then notice how that's going to affect us emotionally, versus, okay, I've got an opportunity here. I can rest, I can look after my health, I can boost my immune system, I can get creative and find new ways to connect with people. I mean, this is a wonderful example of this. Like, thanks to this experience, we're doing these calls and these discussions and coming together in this way. So it's being really mindful about what story we're telling ourselves about things, because that has a knock-on effect on what emotions are being warming up and what we're. So if we And sometimes we're not even aware in the moment of what we're telling ourselves or what we're saying. Sometimes we're not even aware. And then that's what I call the like the hangover of whatever we've been thinking about. Like when we notice a particular emotion coming up, we're experiencing the hangover of the thoughts and beliefs that we've been focused on. So it's like if we notice that we suddenly feel anxious, then it's like, oh, what have I just been thinking? Or if we notice that we've been feeling fearful, what have I just been thinking? And all of that. So that's really important. And I also wanted to open up today a discussion about transforming our relationship with fear, because this is one really powerful way to be more resilient during these times. Because quite often, and this can also come up in the spiritual world and in the coaching world and the therapy world sometimes. Sometimes there can be this perspective that fear is a terrible thing, and if we feel it, even if it's for one small moment, then that's bad and we need to get rid of it quick. And yes, it can create a lot of things, and it can put people into a state of panic, and it can lead to some unhelpful behaviors. Yet it's more about what we're doing with emotion that counts. Like, that's the important thing. Emotions are simply just messengers. They're like a door. Like, we can open it up and move through that emotion, like notice what message is coming through, like what's leading us on to, or we can shut the door and be in this state of panic and spiral down even further into all of these thoughts and beliefs. So I feel it's really important to notice, and perhaps this is something that we can do, is like as we go through each person, not only do we talk about how perhaps we manage fear and anxiety, and maybe we can offer a little insight into these emotions bring as well, because again, it's not the emotion that's the issue in itself, it's what we're doing with it. Obviously we don't want to remain in a state of fear, yet it's a natural human emotion and it's there to protect us. So thanks to fear, we have been able to prepare ourselves, that we've been able to protect ourselves. So I wanted to discuss this, and perhaps we can go through each person and share a little bit about our thoughts and insights on fear and anxiety. So perhaps Tiffany, do you want to share something?
Hello, thanks so much, Emma. Yeah, definitely. I think that I like really what you say about the being more comfortable with our fear. And what I like to say in my classes is getting more comfortable with feeling uncomfortable and sitting with that, and in a very safe space. So one of the practices that I have for my meditation students or my yoga students is actually we do the Buddha basket, and we say, okay, just put in rate it between 0 and 10, like the 10 being the highest. Give me a 4 or a 5 problem or something that creates anxiety for you. Pop it in that basket just for the moment, and let's sit with it for a moment and see how that's going to affect our body, and just go through it like bit by bit. Where do you feel it in your body? Breathe through that. Is there a story attached to it? Exactly what you've been talking about. All of that, and just get more comfortable with being able to raise those a little bit here and there. So increasing our comfort with that situation. And I do it with myself. I like to go a little higher numbers, maybe 8 or 9. But I think it's nice for us to start low, especially if we're not used to it and we have a high level of anxiety. You could start with a 2, something that's just a minor irritation, even, not even an anxiety, just like dust on the floor. Some people can go, oh God, that really freaks me out, I hate that, and start that thinking. So, okay, dust on the floor, how does it make you feel? Where do you feel it? What comes up for you? Is it okay that it exists at this moment with some dust, And I like it a lot what you've said there, and that's my practical approach to it. And also in my own lifestyle, the more uncomfortable that I feel, and the more I practice being uncomfortable, it is like a muscle that you're flexing. So for me, it's like the more I practice, the better I get at it. And then I can, you know, stage fright or talking in front of strangers. I used to be very shy when I was 30, and I just practiced and practiced until finally I don't really get nervous at all anymore. So I think it's something that we can definitely improve upon as we go. Thanks.
Thank you, Tiffany. Diana, do you want to share something?
Yeah, so I think I'm coming at it from more of a, let's say, personal journey than anything I facilitate, or I don't work in the field of helping others deal with stress or anxiety or anything like that. But I guess just skills that I've learned personally over the years. And in fact, it's, I need to share that I'm coming to this conversation today after a shocking, well, not so shocking, seeing the situation of the world right now, but my job was affected yesterday. I was told I need to take a 30% pay cut if I wanted to stay and keep my job during these times. And in fact, most of the team got laid off. So, I'm coming to this conversation with a very real kind of collateral damage from the situation that we're living in today. And I think it's important, and I don't say this to offend anybody or anything like that, but I feel like a lot of people perhaps don't look to meditation or don't look to other practices because they think, they're unrealistic. And I think it's important to make those skills readily available and make them more realistic and approachable for people that are going through really shocking things. I mean, and like for me, I still have a job, right? So I'm grateful, at least for now, I'm grateful that I still have that. However, there's thousands and thousands of people that are really dealing with losing their jobs, and how are they going to feed their kids? And so it's important to have these skills approachable for people that are going through really life-threatening things. And I think having conversations like this is important because it makes people understand that everyone's just a person and everyone's finding their way and everyone's looking for help. So I guess how I'm dealing with it, I have to say it's also okay to let yourself feel what you're feeling when things happen, right? I think pushing away the fear of, oh my God, how is this going to affect my life, is not practical because the fear doesn't just magically go away. So I think it's important to let yourself feel what you feel, but don't fall into it. Don't let it take over the airwaves. Don't let it be the only conversation in your head. And I think what's helped me between yesterday and today is when I felt myself thinking too much or worrying about what's going to happen in the future, I would just take a moment to connect with my heart and think, okay, what are some things that I still have faith in, right? So I have faith that I'm okay. I have a faith that I have a roof over my head. I have, these things still bring me comfort. And I have faith that we will get through this, right? So again, I'm not coming from it from any kind of educational background or anything. It's just my own personal life skills. And, you know, one of the other things that's helped me is being able to sit and clear my mind, which can be called meditation. But I think a lot of people think meditation is this unreachable skill, when really it's about just sitting and trying to clear your mind of thoughts and connecting to your heart. And when you get to that place, this feeling of it's going to be okay usually comes over you. So those are some things that I would say have helped me and will continue to help me in this situation and other situations. At the same time, I feel like this might be kind of like a preview of what's to come if if the weather patterns, if we don't get our stuff together and help to fight climate change. So we could look at it as a exercise as well, a mild exercise of what we can build during this time to have resilience in maybe perhaps even harder situations.
Thank you, Diana. That's wonderful. Jamie, would you like to add something?
Sure. And we have a little less than 20 minutes left, just to keep that in mind. So I'm also on the meditation boat. That is definitely the thing that saved me from all types of anxiety, depression, fear-based thinking, I used to go to substances for that relief of those intense feelings of fear, and I'm ultra sensitive, so I didn't know how to observe that in my body, and I allowed, my mind is hyperactive as well, and I analyze everything to a core, so that was too much, so I just escaped with, all sorts of stuff, even, TV, shopping, whatever. Each person has their choice of escape. But then when I started meditating seriously, I discovered that it was the feeling that was bothering me, and the thoughts, the latching onto the thoughts, and that really, like, it's just the intensity. For me, it's the intensity of the sensation that is overwhelming. And I didn't have the tools before to just allow it to be in my body and know that it would pass. And then starting with the breath, observing the breath, not trying to change the breath, not trying to change anything, not trying to stop anything in my experience, just looking at the breath gave me a focus. And then as I practice and practice and practice, then getting in contact with like really intense sensations. Like if I get really nervous, all of a sudden my body is like, my heart's beating really fast, my body's trembling, I'm all hot, and all these sensations start happening. And because of the thoughts that I'm identifying with in this story, as you'd mentioned, Emma, I just I could not pay attention to any of those sensations and just go on with all these thoughts and keep one after the other. It's like it seems like all those sensations charge more thoughts going. And if I'm not anchoring in my respiration or in my body, then I just keep going off with those thoughts, and they just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger until I'm like, I used to be very much a hypochondriac, and I'd be like, just crying and imagining the worst case scenarios of all the torturous tests that could be happening and all these things, and then maybe depressed in bed for some time and running to the doctor just because I had some little thing, like that. And every time I've gone to the doctor, it's been fine. Granted, it could have been something, but since I started meditating, it's like those thoughts happen, and then I get in touch with my sensations and my breathing. And granted, it's not always that I get to, I'm not just like, oh, meditate and it's all great. No, like sometimes it's hard to do it, or I don't want to meditate because it's just my ego or my mind is too dense or too strong at that moment. But then when I am able to do it and able to observe all of that discomfort, it all of a sudden it changes. And it goes away. And then, you know, I think it's what I'm saying now. I feel like you guys have all mentioned bits and pieces. And yeah, I resonated with everything that you all said. And when that shifts, it's like, the hell was that? Some weird storm just like came through my body with a bunch of images and pictures and things. Sometimes things I don't even know what the heck, where that's coming from, like what, some like absurd, to me, absurd fears that make no sense because they're very highly unrealistic or something like that. But yeah, when it passes, it's like, oh, okay, that was just a biochemical reaction to thought patterns and images and input. And with my attention and my awareness and my focus, I'm able to transform that, or at least watch it transform and not suffer. So before I wouldn't be paying attention, and then I would just be like rolling in all the emotions unaware. And now I'm in the emotion and feeling all the stuff, but I'm aware, and then it changes. And I think this specific situation has been unbelievably, it's like I don't know what the word is, but it's like maybe a magnifying glass for me on my practice, because I remember myself 10 years ago and some kind of situation like this, what it would be like for me in my experience, my body, and my emotions. And in this experience right now from all the practice, I really, I hear people, oh, I'm not sleeping at night. Oh, it's like this, it's like that. And I'm like, oh, really? I have zero symptoms. I have like tons of inspiration. I have tons of like, I want to just give and like take advantage of this amazing gift of this time and my family and my home. And yeah, so the benefits I'm seeing now, like on the biggest scale. Yeah, that's what I would like to share. Thank you.
Thank
I would
you,
like
Jane.
to say that having kitties is definitely a stress reducer as well.
And doggies too.
Great. So I think we've got a few minutes left. I just wanted to finish off with okay, 10. Okay. And there's a couple of questions I wanted to add as well, which I thought could be helpful. I really resonated with what you said, Jamie, about allowing that sensation to simply just pass through. Like that's what I was, and focusing on the breath, that's what I was doing with panic attacks. Because the panic attacks were arising when I was trying to control it, like trying to manage it and control it and be in control. And I'm going to like push everything down, or I'm going to like trying to manage. This is why I don't use the word manage with anxiety, because I don't believe in trying to manage or control anxiety. I much prefer to allow it to move through us, because emotions, I mean, if you look at the word emotion, emotion, and emotion, it's allowing that to move through us. So absolutely, and focusing on that one point, because often when we're feeling anxiety, or we're feeling overwhelmed, or we're feeling fear, we're focused on many things. Sometimes it can be like many different things, like you're saying about all the different worst case scenarios that could pop up. Sometimes that fear comes up in that sense, and it's bringing it back to one point. So the breath is absolutely a really important aspect. And yes,
I just wanted to repeat and just say with this that the concept of the fact of meditation or self-observation, like Diana had mentioned, and I think all of us had mentioned now, that many people think it's a relaxing thing, or it's a unattainable thing or something like that. And like that that yeah, what you're saying about the anxiety, it's like a form of meditation, you know, even though it's, you know, you're observing your emotion and stuff, that is a form of meditation. And it's not like I'm just floating on a cloud and, you know, yeah, that is a result sometimes, but it's not the thing that happens every time you sit to meditate or to do whatever practice in that way of self-observation.
Thank you. Yeah, is absolutely is meditation is observation. Yeah. Tiffany, did you want to say something? No? Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, because if anyone's seen the film Inside Out, we can see those different characters of the emotions, and fear plays a very important role in that because it's helping to protect the young girl from not falling over, not tripping up. So fear can be a benefit there, and the human race, thanks to fear, like we're still here. Like we're able to, like, the fear has had some benefits. So it's like using it constructively rather than destructively. So a few questions that I have here which might be helpful. So if ever we're noticing fear coming up, we can ask ourselves, like, first off, like, what can I learn from this? Like, whatever sensation, whatever emotions coming up, like, what can I learn from this? Like, what's it teaching us? If emotions and sensations are messengers, like, what's the message there? And often, like with fear, we can feel like we're there can be moments where we're paralyzed, or we're like with panic attacks, often an anxiety that affects the breath. Like we hold everything within and we don't breathe, and we're like that. So it's like moving, like creating some action and movement through that, because there can be a natural human reaction to want to freeze or to run away. So it's like, okay, with that like fear that's coming up, one question that's great is, what loving action can I take now? What loving action can I take now? So if we're noticing some fear or anxiety coming up, it's like, what loving action can I take now? Oh, okay, I'm going to use this opportunity to boost my immune system. I'm going to like connect with friends. I'm going to take some action and do that in a loving way, a constructive way. So you're moving through the emotion that you're feeling. And also because fear is very closely related with safety, protection. So another question that's useful is, where and how can I create more safety and comfort for myself in a loving and constructive way? So we're not talking about eating the whole tub of Ben and Jerry's, or like finding comfort in ways that might not be so helpful on a daily basis. It's like, how can I help myself to feel safe and comforted during this time of fear and anxiety? So one wonderful way is to connect with others. We're in this amazing time at the moment where we have internet, we can connect with each other through these platforms. So finding comfort in that way, and moving through those times. Like often, like Tiffany was saying, that yeah, like we tend to want to avoid any discomfort or avoid feeling things. I actually believe that we're here in this human experience to actually feel whatever the feeling. We're here to feel and learn and grow and evolve from that feeling. So let's use these emotions. Emotions are creativity, like fuel for creativity. Let's use those emotions and fuel our creativity and start exploring what we can learn and discover thanks to what we're feeling. Thank you. So yeah, Jamie, do you want to round off the class? I'm not sure how much time we have left. Or if there's
I think it's like a few minutes. So
anyone else?
At 1, and so yeah, it's like 6 minutes, but it might cut off. So yeah, did anybody want to add anything?
Yeah, I think some of the other things that I think would help in this time is, you know, it's good to be connected with your friends and be connected to, you know, like, oh, there's a bunch of amazing concerts that are happening online, and, you know, the things that make you feel good. But disconnect a little bit from all the media and all the hype and all the panic, and which is easier said than done, because one wants to be informed during these times, right? You want to know what's going on. You want to know, you know, the laws that are being passed. You want to know the regulations about being able to go outside or whatever. And so sometimes it's really hard to kind of filter through all the noise that's online. What I found has been easier in order to stay informed but not get more panicked is to bookmark like official pages, right? Pages that you'll get the truth from, like the facts. So, you know, there's for example, for me, it helps to see numbers. So, for example, there's an official website that's keeping track of the numbers. And it's not just like, oh, there's this many infected. It's talking about all the recovery cases, and it's, you know, and it's counting, you know, also the realistic facts of what's going on. So that helps me to kind of just check in with that. It helps me to bookmark kind of official government pages to understand, hey, what's the latest update? And then from there, just kind of tried to avoid the noise of, you know, all of the other channels that are either turning this into a political fight or using this for fear and bigotry or whatever. So
Great. Great advice. Yeah, we just check like in the morning, and then that's it. And I've heard other people doing that too, just like check in the morning whenever, you know, after. I try to give some time after I wake up, you know, before I turn on my phone, make sure I meditate first, start breakfast, move a bit, and like get my connection to myself before I plug into any kind of exterior stuff. Emma.
Yeah, just when you just said the word move, like that's a really important thing. It's like when we're in fear and anxiety, we're up here often, and we're breathing up here in the upper part of the chest. So putting on a song and dancing and moving is one of the quickest things to shift from the mind into the body, and to start letting things go and letting go of all those fearful stories.
yeah, in fact, for example, my yoga studio is sending us videos of practice, right? Our friend Fiona is sending out videos of Pilates practice. And I feel like the way people have pulled together and the things they're offering in order for all of us to try to stay sane and healthy through this thing has also been amazing. And to the emotions you feel when you go outside at 8 p.m. and everyone's clapping in appreciation, you know, that's a really positive thing that's coming out of this thing, right? It's just seeing how people are pulling together, people giving concerts. It's, you know, humanity can be very positive and supportive of each other. So at least here in Barcelona, I feel like the citizens are doing that.
Community, yeah. Okay, ladies, thank you for everything. We'll see you next time. We'll be putting this on the channels, and I'll tag y'all, and then we can send it out to whomever. I'll make it public. And thank you so much for being here. This is really, really special. Mwah.
Thank you, Jamie.
Woo-hoo. And the moon. You're welcome. Bye.